We are going to start the webinar. Around 800 kids, 800 students are there. Good that you guys have taken out time. Now for the next 1 hour 40 minutes, we will be focused on only one thing. CAT 20. What is the format of today's webinar? The format of today's webinar is I'm going to talk about first exceptions. Why exceptions? Because where do we derive our motivation from? Where do we derive our inspiration from? If you ask me that where I look for inspiration, then like any other commoner, I look for inspiration in rags to riches stories. So the real joy that I get is, of course, in seeing that how even some of my IIT Kanpur students get 100 percentile, all India rank 1 and all. But when I see those students who come from nowhere, who are in such a situation, who are in such a position where most of you would not want to be, still they have the courage to basically dream about Blackie. When we talk about CAT 20, when anyone says henceforth that I want to crack CAT, what it implies, did you get into Blackie or not? Blackie is, of course, some of them also call it ABCL, IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, Indore, and Kozhikode. So if you get about cracking CAT 20, we mean that I want you guys to get only and only into Blackie. Forget about all other institutes. Now, talking about Blackie, first, I want to basically share an audio clip of a student who has started his preparation. Now, if you listen to the audio very carefully, just wait, Sarthak. If you listen to the audio very carefully, I want you to hear what is he saying. Now, we are having students start with us, with me, even at this level. So first, I want you guys to listen to the audio. Yes, Sarthak, if you can play the audio. And I hope everyone is able to admit people in the waiting room as well. Listen to this boy.
तीन को तीन 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 छः तीन तीन नौ तीन चौक बारह तीन सौ तीन पच पंद्रह तीन सौ अठारह तीन सौ इक्कीस तीन और चौबीस तीन सौ सत्ताईस तीन उनतीस.
Can forward the audio clip more.
10 को 10 20 30 30 10 40 10 50 10 60 10 70 80 10.
I want you guys to listen to it.
11 11 22 23
more.
54
Forward it more.
16 28 16 9 144 16 160 17 27 27 34 37 51 57 54 85 70 क्यूब 2 2 दूनी 4 4 दूनी 8 3 3 9 9 3 27 4 चौको 16 16 चौको 64 5 25 25 25 125
forward more forward
298 into 14 2744 15 15 225 225 into 15 3375 16 16 16 256 256 into 16 4096 17 17 289 289 into 17 4913 18 18 324 324 into 5832.
Was it audible to all of you what the student was doing? Was it audible to everyone? What was he doing? Yes. So we have students who basically started this level also for a CAT. For an examination where you have competition from like everywhere, from all academic streams, from all Ivy League institutes across the country. But we have students, and I have personally seen in the past 10 years, both category of students, those students who have consistently been performers in their throughout their life. They also making it to Blackie, as well as these kind of students. Now, I would share another clip. If we can share the clip of Virendra Kumar Mishra. I would repeat his name, Virendra Kumar Mishra. He has finally converted, if we can stop it right now, Sarthak, he has converted, I am Indore, I am Kozhikode, I am Lucknow, and he is waitlisted 2 in I am Bangalore, which he is about to convert. Listen to him now. Yes, if you can please play the video of Virendra Kumar Mishra. Sarthak, you can.
मेरा नाम वीरेंद्र कुमार मिश्रा है. कैट की प्रिपरेशन स्टार्ट करने से पहले मेरी इंग्लिश बहुत ज़्यादा ख़राब थी. टाइम इंस्टीट्यूट के टीचर काफ़ी अच्छे हैं और इन्होंने काफ़ी अच्छी तरीके से पढ़ाया. फाइनली मेरी इंग्लिश एटलीस्ट इतनी इम्प्रूव हुई या इतनी अच्छी थी कि मैं IIM इंदौर में क्यों नहीं छोड़ सका. मैं यहाँ के टीचर्स को और आशीष सर को धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ.
Was it clear? Were you guys able to hear it? All of you can't hear it. Not audible. We'll play it again. That's what I'm telling you.
मेरा नाम वीरेंद्र कुमार मिश्रा है। कैट की प्रिपरेशन स्टार्ट करने से पहले मेरी इंग्लिश बहुत ज़्यादा ख़राब थी। टाइम इंस्टीट्यूट के टीचर काफ़ी अच्छे हैं और इन्होंने काफ़ी अच्छी तरीके से पढ़ाया। फाइनली मेरी इंग्लिश एटलीस्ट इतनी इम्प्रूव हुई या इतनी अच्छी थी कि मैं IIM इंदौर में चयनित हो सका। मैं यहाँ के टीचर्स को और आशीष सर को धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ।
Okay, I think was he audible? I'm not able to hear. And she said, yes, he was audible to an extent. Yes, he was audible. Towards the end, probably. Now, this guy was exactly in the same position as the guy who you heard doing calculations in history. Now, he has made it to 4 out of 6 blackie, which is a very, very big achievement. Very big achievement for this boy, Viren Mishra. Now, there are even students who are basically starting from this level and they finally make it. Another example I'll give you in the beginning. So I train students, from different IITs. At the same time, I train students of, a local engineering college called IIT Lucknow. IIT Lucknow is, a good engineering college under AKTU. If Sarthak can just share the result of, some of the students of this year. Look at this, slide. This is not IIT, this is IIT, which is the local engineering college. I'm just pitting IIT and IIT against each other to show that even those who are, not in a very, very privileged spot where they have already prepared a lot of maths or they have already cracked, big examinations, got top, already ranked, they do it. Even these students do it. See the list: Parth going to IIM Ahmedabad, Devesh going to IIM Calcutta, Ayush going to IIM Calcutta, Abhinav Yadav going to IIM Calcutta. Who's the next person I can't see because of Viren. Viren, of course, going to IIM Bangalore eventually. And then Nandini Garg is going to IIM Indore. Sapnil is going to IIM Indore. Anubhav is going to IIM Indore. Abhishek is going to IIM Indore. And there are many more also because you can't, just want to show, and this is just for this year. Just want to show to you guys many students who are underdogs. This phrase underdogs. Many students who are underdogs, they also make it. You really need to, and this phase is so important. I'll just give you a very, very small example. Our webinar is about to happen. So I just wanted to change the setting a little bit. So I wanted to maybe add class. You can see, there are class here. So I went to the new mall which has opened up, at Shahid Path. And at the flower shop, this boy who was handling the sales, he said that I have been your student, sir, of time Gomti Nagar, time Patrakarpuram, of 2014 batch, and I went to Jaipur. Now, of course, there when I'm meeting him, I'm not going to tell him and humiliate him that, hey, why did you do this mistake? And all. I said, good, very good, give your best and all. But this was not the first time. I recall that where I used to stay, another boy used to live in the same, apartment, and he went to Jaipur, and then he got a job of 15K or 16K in, some district in Rajasthan in some, Bharat Cement or some cement company. And he left after 2-3 months. Why? To basically take a short ride. Why to take a short ride to a career suicide or a career failure situation? Why to do that? Why would you like to do that? And not only that, today also, one of my students called and she said that, sir, I've been going on getting calls from these IIFT people, IBS people, and what to do, I said, what to do, what? Just forget. Here we are talking about how you should focus just on the top list, the blackie, be a winner, be a successful guy. If basically I get an opportunity to show slides on the top 200 students also who I have trained, most of them will be getting more than a half crore package and they'll be in big companies and they'll be doing very, very good. There are so many examples of those people who are going to blackie. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Towards the end of today's webinar, we just show, from this region who all have made it to blackie this year in 2020. It's a huge list. And when we used to talk about IIMs, in my previous webinar, I completely, discussed on this point for some time. Baby IIMs, just forget about baby IIMs. Your baby IIMs, you're talking about, the Sirmaur, IIM Sambalpur, I am Nagpur, I am Jammu, I am Bodh Gaya, I am Vishakhapatnam, just forget about it. Because anyways, our students study there, so we know what is the placement like and what are the opportunities like. Even when we talk about the new IIFT, we talk about Kashipur, Raipur, Ranchi, Trichy, Rohtak, Udaipur. It is okay, it's good, but like why do you like to aspire for it? You have to aspire for something which is worth it, because when I meet students who are from Blackie, I see them doing so well. And when I see students who are not from premier institutes, maybe they're from OK institutes, they're doing okay, they're below. So that means it's actually, one can almost generalize that if you are at this phase in life and if you have this brilliant golden opportunity, second opportunity to prepare, you should only and only aspire to prepare for that. You should not prepare for anything. And of course, I'll help you through the form filling. We will have, those institutes where, maybe you may not mind joining. It is Ivy League only or it is Premier only. But still, our focus will be Blackies. We will discuss preparation strategy, test taking strategy, how to take a test, how to do test analysis, many things. But before that, we are having another speaker with us, and he is anyways known to a good number of time students. And this year also we had called him to train, I think, close to 250 to 300 students who had got IIM calls, and almost everyone got everyone. So he asked me that, hey Ashish, what happened to that boy? What happened to that girl? Everyone made it to the top institute. So if you guys get the call, leave it to us. We will get you through. But first you have to get a call. First you have to get the CAT percentile. And towards the end of the presentation, we'll also show you that CAT matters the most when it comes to getting selected in Blackie still. So we would like to invite Manish sir. He has been the head of marketing and head of digital at Kolkata Knight Riders and Red Chillies Entertainment. Now he has his own company called Digiosmosis. And I recall that after 1 year of starting the company, he sent me, a show reel of his clients and successes. So I thought that maybe he has stolen it from somewhere, because how come in such a short span of time, say a year or two, one can do so much of work. And here we are talking about the work which most of you students who aspire to get into the field of marketing, especially digital marketing, would love to do. So almost all the big hit series that we see on Netflix, Amazon, all the big campaigns of big multinational companies, and whether it be in movie entertainment also, accounts like Dharma Productions. So he basically is handling, and even for the football aficionados, he was also taking care of futsal. If you guys know, big stars like Ronaldinho and all had come down to India and played the game for quite some time. So without wasting, and plus he is also invited by IIMs to take lectures. So that is definitely going to help you a lot. So welcome, Manish sir. Thank you, and let's hand over to.
Thanks, Ashish. Thanks for the generous introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm seeing a lot of hellos coming on the chat. Without indulging too much into things which will not help you, we'll just directly, in the interest of time, jump into pieces which will help you with these 110 very important days. And believe me, on one side, it looks like a very, very short period. But if it's broken into, and the kind of topics we indulge into will make it very clear that how 110 days is neither a long, long time, neither a short time, and how any kind of such time can, if utilized and planned in a particular right way, help you achieve, and how a lot of people we consider achievers, and that's not just you or me, but people across the globe, because luckily each of you who's trying to appear for the CAT and different MBA exams which are going to come this year and for which you're aspiring, finally create leaders of the nature who become entrepreneurs and the world leaders, whether we name a Bill Gates, whether we name an Elon Musk, whether we name a Steve Jobs, and whether we even take a Mr. Mukesh Ambani, and how these people have been approaching things and there's enough to learn that we don't need to reinvent the wheel, and still we can achieve what we want to. Let's take and start from the scenario we are sitting, and most of us and most of more than us, the world outside, that is the period of corona or lockdown and the way it's been taken, the way the economy has been hit, and each of us actually have been affected in more or less similar ways, but each of us have been behaving differently. And that is what is going to be the scene of even these 110 days. One thought process is very clear, that when I have not been able to do anything with my life in the last 20 years, which would be into 12 months, into the number of days, 356, what's going to happen in 110 days? The other way to approach, and there are a bunch of people who are approaching that, okay, when people have turned around pieces in these 100 days and 110 days of COVID lockdown, which we are undergoing, and it's practically the same period we are talking of. It started on the 20th of March and we are sitting on the 9th of August. It's a very comparable scenario. On one side, we have, and with all empathy, the aim is not to sort of dissect the entire world, but looking at people who have tried to make the best out of scenario. In the same time, what is that is so different for people like Mr. Mukesh Ambani or somebody like Mr. Elon Musk, our own founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, that in the same COVID period or the same Corona period, they've actually become richer and probably grown their wealth in these 3 to 4 months, what they could have not done in the last 1 or 1.5 years. So with every recession, there is a big opportunity for 1% of people. And that 1% of people are not just lucky people, but these are guys also who mentally write their luck through a process. And that is what's done by these two individual or gentlemen in these 80 to 90 days, which most of us have not. So when we were thinking how to react, how to act, and rather we were being reactive to the scenario, these people were planning and being active. So the first lesson we need to be taking from them for these 110 days is how to be proactive rather than reactive to the entire process. What would be a reactive decision? 110 days hai, chalo yaar, bhagna start karo, let's start doing something. That's a reactive kind of a thing. Proactive kind of a piece is always a planning. And let's take our own Mr. Cool, how a Mr. MS Dhoni, the captain we respect the most, would have applied to if he was left with 110 balls. One way is that, okay, these are these many wickets left, let's start hitting. And the other is planning that, okay, we have 110 balls and this is a lineup which is there, which means we have pinch hitters, we have defense, we have people who can go aggressive. How will I plan it out in such a way that finally on the 110th ball or 5 balls before that, we have already achieved a target or achieved a number or a victory for that matter. And that's what I would want you all to do. So firstly, try to understand that you need to get mentally aligned that it is not impossible. It's very, very possible, but when planned in a particular way. What would we call it? Because we are entering the world of management. And thus, instead of philosophy, we should always approach things on the basis of either science or management techniques. A lot of you would have heard of this term and a lot of you would have not. A lot of you can go back and research and you'll get a lot about it. It's called setting smart goals. And by the word smart, I just don't mean the literal word smart, but yes, it finally makes you help making very, very smart decisions. But it means that step one, and especially in your case, try to have goals which are called stretch goals. What does stretch goal really mean? Don't try to dream small, because if you dream small, you'll land up doing things which are small. So I can go on and on, but the way we will approach is we will try to have 3 modules or 3 segments that we discuss in this 25 to 30-minute discussion. One called the SMART goals, second called mindfulness, and the third called the placebo effect. And the way a manager or an achiever or somebody trying to achieve a goal like you are in a limited period would use these three pieces is what we'll try to, or I'll try to take you through, because see, motivation or planning is such a subject that you can just go on, and there are like so many facets that's impossible to really cover all of it. So looking at stretch goals, what does it really mean? One, dream big. And the reason for it is, as I was speaking about the placebo effect, and now I'm talking of researches, we are not talking philosophies, because the general way people understand placebo is that you might just give a sugar pill to a patient, the patient has that, but if the doctor has said that it's a magic pill, the patient gets treated even though it's a sugar pill, because he is mentally thinking it's something that can get great results for him. We are not talking of that placebo effect, though that's a part of it. What exactly happens in case of a placebo effect? And let me give an example that will prove it, how scientific studies show that piece. There's a hospital in the United States, and there were two kinds of patients who were picked. So both have gone through the same surgery. One was administered the injection of painkiller by doctors and the other by nurses. And clearly it was seen that the patients who were given that injection or were treated by the doctor directly showed faster symptom of recovery or lesser pain compared to the one going through the same medicine, the same chemicals via a nurse. Now, when they went deeper into the study, it was exactly nothing which was a difference, and this would go to something called a placebo effect, which means that when a person trusted the doctor more because he's a bigger specialist, he has undertaken the surgery and the patient has more confidence, it gave him bigger and better results. So when we dream bigger, it is something called the creative visualization, where you're trying to really first dream, see. It's not just about thinking the institute. It's about really thinking, if I'm there, what I'm doing, I'm enjoying, there are classes happening, there are grill sessions happening, there are timely assignments, my placement. Now coming back to the placebo, what it exactly does is that it has a lot of, so when, depending on your thought process, there are at least 1,000 kind of chemicals which we call hormones, which our glands secrete, and it has a direct impact on our entire body and the way we react to it. So when you are visualizing victory, the hormones are more of happiness, the hormone is of achievement, and when you are doing that to yourself, you are actually changing your chemical composition, and thus the focus is higher. Coming back to Mr. Cool, when Mr. Dhoni is thinking of victory on the 105th ball, it is something which has created a new Dhoni in terms of chemical composition. And when you approach with that particular thought process, the science starts working for you, because actually the chemicals are nothing but the science. Why is it that sometimes when you're stressed, your results fall? When you are happy, confident, your results go up. When you approach something that I'm surely going to get it, most of the time you get it. When you approach that I'll not get it, doesn't have, it's not the luck game. It's basically what it does to you. So please approach it wisely and don't think it's a philosophy, because there's enough scientific researches which are establishing this entire process, and it has gone so deep that it has neurons that have been tested to it. So don't take it as a philosophy, which takes us to the next process, which is going to be what I spoke about, mindfulness. Again, huge research happening at the Stanford, the Harvard Medical College, a lot of European university. What do we mean by mindfulness? If you really see again the difference between people who achieve a target on time and make it really big vis-a-vis ordinary people like me or a lot of people around us, is mindfulness. When a Virat Kohli is playing the game, there's about 1 lakh people sitting around, cheering, yelling, might even be cursing when he is not really performing. But his focus, the only thing he watches is that ball and that bowler and the field around strategizing the entire piece. The moment he gets distracted listening to these people cheering or shouting, the entire thing is gone out of the window, which means his mind is fully focused on one thing. And all researchers show that for normal, ordinary people like us, we are really not mindful, which means at the same time, right now, you are listening to me and you can make the best out of this 2.5 hours. Actually, you are not doing that because at least a 40 to 60% of your attention is on something else. For example, somebody thinking, what is going to be the dinner tonight? Somebody trying to think that I will take so many classes and so much effort, but what happens agar mera hota hi nahi hai admission? So you are actually, so by thinking that, it's not that you're really getting admission or not getting admission. By thinking about dinner right now, it's not that you can really ask your mother or you can go and start preparing. So on one side, it has produced no result on the other side. And it can be anything, thinking about your next job, your girlfriend, it can even be a happy moment, but actually you are in a zone which is virtual because you're not in it right now. And on the other side, what can be so useful to you, you're not focusing on it, which means that if our 40 to 60% of attention or focus is on something else, we have absorbed also just 20 to 30%. So clarifying that particular notion again, where people say that it is all about multitasking. Researchers have shown that human mind cannot multitask. What does that mean? In a day, you can do multiple jobs. You even are having a role of a son, a boyfriend, a brother, helping someone as a social service, a student. So that way, in a day, you multitask. But at any one point of time, the human brain has capacity to only think of one thing if it has to have 100% proper focus to absorb it. So the other piece is that try to please in this period, be extremely mindful. How can that be done? It's not that my mind does not run in 10 different directions just like yours. But what I would do is the moment it starts running, you're not attending this class or this seminar because you need to like me or you need to be my fan or you think that I'll make you crack cat. But you're trying to do this because at the end of the day, your final goal is to compete and get into the institute of your choice. So the moment your mind starts running here and there, what do achievers do? Because they are same human beings like you and me. What they do is that they immediately start thinking about the final goal. Why am I doing this? Because I'm sure a lot of you have this entire thought in your mind that I want to do X. Everything else they are making me do, it's just a waste of time. Which is what we used to do even in a school. For example, if you wanted to enter into IIT or you wanted to do commerce or you wanted to do economics, you had no sense why they were making you read Hindi and history and geography, right? All of us have thought that at one point of time. But if you think that your final aim was to enter an X college after your +2 and it needed a particular kind of cutoff. So suppose you wanted to do economics from a Hindu college or a St. Stephen's in Delhi, and you know that the minimum percentage requirement is going to be 97%, and that can happen only if even in English I score that, even though English is not going to help me in economics. The moment you know that I have to top in English because I want to enter Stephen's, which is my real goal, suddenly studying English is not that problematic. In the same way, to compete, there's a lot of stuff that we might have to do that we are not really bothered in future. Example, someone wants to join marketing, someone wants to do finance, someone wants to do general management, someone wants to be an entrepreneur. Why should I do an X thing in CAT to become that? That's because the focus should be clear that the aim is to reach somewhere, and there are certain things we have to do as a process to reach there. I'm sure to hit a century, a Virat Kohli, doesn't need to go vegan, doesn't need to run so much per day, doesn't need to focus so much on fitness. Steve Jobs did not have to do meditation every day, but they all know that a yoga, a meditation, a fitness, a particular diet, a particular kind of mental training takes you where you want to reach. And that's the reason we all are doing. It's not that at 5 a.m. in the morning, it'll be a fun for me or an enjoyment for me to wake up and do a 30-minute practice of meditation. But I know that if I do that and it keeps me focused the whole day and keeps me mindful, I need to do that. So whenever you're getting digressed with this whole thought process that why should I do this, or you're losing your focus that right now you're listening to me, but you're not comprehending anything, the only thing you need to think of is, okay, I need to listen to this bugger because it's a process that I need to follow to finally compete CAT. And then it doesn't really look that tough to be mindful and bring back the monkey mind back to something which is focused. So, which brings us to the last and the most important topic, which is that all what you need to do is that try to set SMART goals, like all the achievers that I spoke about, and practically many, many more do. What's the full form of SMART? What does SMART stand for? The number one piece, as we said, first put stretch goals. As an example, if someone has to lose 30 kgs, he cannot lose it overnight. And what happens because of that? We never start the process itself. But the moment we make it specific after stretching it and break into smaller goals, because we have 110 days to go, we don't have 110 hours or 2 days to go, which means that if we are able to stretch the biggest goal and then compress it into smaller goals, like in case of 30 kg loss, it's literally like saying, okay, can I lose the first 3 kgs in the first 1 month? In the same way, if I am not scoring very well in quant, is it possible that in the next 45 days, at least my score goes up by 10%? So the S of SMART starts for specific goals. So be very specific, because most of the people, when you'll ask what is your goal when you're appearing for CAT, you don't even know which institute you are targeting. So be specific with your thought that what am I really targeting? And after being specific, you need to have something which is going to be measurable, which is the M of SMART. So in simple terms, what is the measurable target I am looking at? So if I have to get a 99 percentile or 100 percentile and I'm sitting at 60, it's not that you're going to get it there at one shot, but you are going to break it to specific goals that can I grow from 60 to 70 in whatever 18 days, then I go to 80, then I go to 90, but there are specific goals. So first goal, for example, I have to reach 75 percentile, which then goes to the A part of it, which is the SMART SMA. It should be attainable. See, if I want to become and go and earn $10 million in 1 week, we all know it's not attainable. So this depends a lot on your mind and where you stand, but it needs to be realistic for you that it's attainable. So as I said, 60 to 90, not attainable. 60 to 70 in 7 days, 10 days, attainable. So put something which is attainable and write it. These things are not going to be something that you can do mentally. You have to have everything written if you want to really achieve it. Then comes the R of the SMART, which needs to be relevant and realistic. What does that relevant means? That something that I'm doing will be relevant for me to get into CAT or get that score. Example, I suddenly start working very hard on my physical body and start learning French. It is not having relevancy to competing CAT mostly. So do things which is relevant taking you there, not something that is going to suddenly you start watching something which has no relevance to CAT is not going to help you. So do things and make a plan basis. Relevancy is going to be very important. And then comes the real last one, which we all are standing at, that's 110 days. T, that's time bound. You need to break your SMART goals into various targets, but set timelines to it that you have to achieve it. We all know that we have an assignment kept with us for 1 month and we never complete it. But the moment the deadline comes, all of us suddenly strangely complete it, which means the most important thing to achieve is that you need to have a fixed timeline to it. 1 month, you might have a telephone bill or an electricity bill which is kept, but the moment you realize tomorrow is the day it'll get cut because it's been made time bound, you go and do it only at the last moment. So if you are really smart, what you'll do is you'll break these 110 days into several smart goals with the right timeline targets, and then you see how the magic starts happening. So coming to the crux of the class again, and the 3 points we discussed. Number 1, have bigger goals, which is called stretch goals. Be extremely mindful, which means live in the present. The past is never coming back. Even if the score is bad, your results are bad, your education, whatever it has gone right or wrong, it's just given. For the next 110 days, it's not going to change. And future being spoiled because of anxiety is not going to help. If you're in present, your future will automatically start moving in the right direction because you are mindful, and that's why you are absorbing much more than others who have not attended this session, for example. And thus have this entire piece and back it with SMART goals, which is written. If possible, try to have a very so it's not Josh. Right now might be you get very pepped after the session because Ashish will tell you things which can really help you achieve. But what will really make you achieve is if you stick to it as a discipline for 110 days. So these 110 days have to be taken something as a tapasya. So to achieve that goal that you really want, as I said, you have to do many things you might like and not like. And you will still enjoy it if you know very, very well that it is for that goal. So never forget that goal. So write it somewhere. Remember it 24/7 that what I am doing is not because I like all of this. If I like, it's even better. But it's to achieve that something final, which is something which matters to me. And that's the reason I am there. That's going to be from my side. What I'll say is all the best. Really wish that each of you get very good results and get into the institutes you want to get to. But foremost, decide where you want to go. And that's what we spoke about, that have a specific goal. It cannot be esoteric. Mere ko acha karna hai. You will have to put it in your mind and then on paper what you really want to do. Thanks a lot, Ashish, for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. That was an awesome session. I think students are writing. You can see on the chat window. They really benefited from this session. Thank you. Thank you, Manish.
Thank you so much.
Students, you guys have to understand that there are 2 parts to your CAT preparation over the next 110 days. One is the mental makeup. That is the most important thing. And the second is now what I want to start talking about. So Sarthak, you can start sharing my slides. The first slide is on preparation strategy. I hope it is clear to all of you. Preparation strategy. The first point that I have mentioned there under preparation strategy is one size fits all does not work. Sarthak, is everyone able to see the presentation? Yes. One size fits all does not work. I recall, I'll give you my example. Because I had an honors in English literature. And then I was doing LLB that time from Delhi University. For my CAT preparation, the number of hours that I would have invested in the BARC section was in a way minimal in comparison to the amount of hours that I invested in quant and to an extent in DIR. Everyone's breakup of hours is going to be different. It is very, very simple. If you are good at something, you will not be investing that many hours. If you are not good at something, you will be investing more hours. Because if we look at 110 days, still I would expect you to just subtract 30 from that 110. 80 is left. Out of that 80 days, subtract 20 more for sectional tests. 60 days. You can still just study for 60 days. You should not take the pressure of immediately jumping into tests. We'll talk about it very soon in our presentation. The key point here is you still have a lot of time to study. Here, when I talk about study, I mean going deep into every single area. Complete dedication is required. If you are one of those students who's preparing for GRE, GMAT also, CAT also, maybe bank also, maybe SSC also, maybe civil services also, GATE also, No. Now that much time is not left that you can, invest in multiple areas. As Manish sir was, discussing a very important point. As a manager, you have to multitask, but then you also have to prioritize. And now is the time to prioritize your time for CAT. If you are studying in college, of course, college exams are important, because in the interview, the marks that you have just fetched in your college shows where you are in terms of your sincerity towards academics, and the professor in the interviewer will judge you accordingly. So you have to prepare for CAT, you have to prepare for your college exams. How many hours to give? It's a stupid question. You will invest all your hours. So you have your 24 hours, you have to plan it in such a way that you do your household chores or whatever normal things are there, and the rest of the time you have to invest in preparation. What should be the breakup of the number of hours? How many hours should go for TI, LR, Quant, BA, RC? Completely depend on where you are. Completely depend. Selective preparation strategy is a sure shot recipe to failure. You don't know whether there'll be too many questions from algebra or too many from geometry mensuration, or maybe you are just comfortable with a particular type of area when it comes to RC. Whenever you look at maybe so many engineers, whenever they look at social sciences area, philosophy, psychology, anthropology, political science, journals, articles, excerpts from these areas, then they will be panicking. Why? Because they don't like this area. Because they have not invested enough time to understand this area. So you have to be very, very careful. You are having 60 plus 20 plus 30 days. 60 days for studies, 20 days for sectional tests, and the last 30 days for full length mocks. This is a very sure shot strategy if you are even a beginner at this stage. 60 days is more than enough if you want to brush up questions from all the topics that comes in CAT. So whether we are talking about arithmetic topics or algebra topics or geometry mensuration, PNC probability, numbers, heights and distances, enough time is there. We'll discuss about the individual strategy later. Now, what is the last point? I can't see. Okay, here it is. We can change the slide. I can't see the last point the way it is coming here. I hope the students are able to see. What was the last point there? So it's not visible. What was the last point there? I hope the students are able to see the slides also. Theta questions, yes. And this is a very bad presentation, Sarthak. We should be able to see the entire slide. Like, what is this? Sorry, from our side. So, theta questions. Now, you don't know theta questions will be from, which all areas in Quant. So, generally, when you are preparing, what you should focus on is very, very simple. You should focus on solving questions without taking the help of answers. So this is a very, very I would just request you to leave the room if you can. So theta questions, very, very simple. Right now only start preparing without looking at the answer option. This will help you in strengthening the your fundamentals in that area, in understanding that area more. It is also very, very important because theta questions, you can look at it in two different ways. Either, okay, they are not having negative marking, so it doesn't matter. You can look at it that way. Or you can look at, if I try, if I have practiced in such a way that I'm comfortable with theta as well, even if I go wrong, negative will not be deducted, but I'll try to get a positive. So theta questions, the trick is, don't just practice theta when you see it in a paper, like a mock, full length mock. You have to basically solve theta from now only. So when you're doing a basic study material also, most of the time you're having answer choices. Why you have to look at answer choices? It is not important to look at them. Okay, the next slide. Now we are talking about test and analysis. Testing and analysis. Testing and analysis is very, very important. Why? When I start talking about testing and analysis, it will also give you a lot of information about how to prepare right now for CAT. Because the preparation for CAT is very, very different when it comes to preparing for other examinations. In CAT, your test paper becomes the primary source of basically preparation. Because when you look at a test, then you're expected to behave in a particular way, which is not expected, when we look at our 10th, 12th graduation books and exams and all. The way you have to be fast, you have to use the options. These things are very, very important. So we will be going deep into testing and analysis, and you guys have to be very attentive because every point is important. What are the things to consider before taking a full-length test? Things to consider before taking a full-length test. First, if you have not practiced a good number of intermediate and advanced level questions, I'm not talking about basic. If you have only practiced a good number of intermediate and advanced level questions, then only you should look at taking a full-length test. Otherwise, what might happen is any paper will be a composition of easy, medium, and difficult questions. Now, easy, medium, difficult questions, if your preparation is up to basic or intermediate, you will never be able to utilize your full potential for that particular paper. So generally, I strongly advise that only once students are through the basics and they have done enough number of questions from intermediate and advanced level, they have got exposure to full variety of sets of DILR, different types of sets, only then they should think of taking a full-length test. Same goes with RC. If suppose your reader, like your reading is only limited to a particular area, some students I know are only into reading editorials from YouTube and all, then I don't think so you should jump into taking an MCAT or a full-length test. You should do only and only when you're exposed to a variety of areas. Here we are not talking about only fiction or science and technology or biotechnology or arts and humanities subjects. Like there are different subjects. It's a huge variety, and you have to try to read as much as possible. Now, what is the way to read? The way to read is very, very simple. We keep sharing, articles and ebooks and journals, in our study Google Drive link. Where what I expect of you is, suppose, so I think Sarthak is going into it. So if Sarthak, this is if you can go into the research papers and articles. You can go into research papers and articles. And suppose you can open any one, are you living in that article? Yes, you can open. I hope everyone, are you living in a computer simulation? How many pages are there? You can just see at the bottom there will be 14 pages are there. Now we can go back, no, just be there. You'll spend some time there. Now these 14 pages are, you are not expected to read all 14 pages at one go. That will be the wrong way to go about strengthening your RC skills. What you need to do is, say, suppose take 3 pages. 1, 2 page, 1, 2, 3. Read, reread. If you look at a word, you don't know the meaning of it, write the meaning of it. Also explore the antonyms and synonyms. Only after you have understood those 3 pages, take, start typing on Grammarly and write exactly half page where your focus should be on 2 things. A, I'm asking you to write on Grammarly, type on Grammarly so that you can see where you're going wrong. It helps you in WAT as well as in English skills. Second, you should be able to cover all the important points which were there in those 3 pages. This is how. Then you can also maybe read 2. Some people will not be comfortable with remembering a lot of things from 3 pages and 2 pages. You don't have to finish something. So a wrong approach will be taking a lot of books, trying to finish all the books. So that is not the way. Right now the focus is on exposure to variety of fields when it comes to reading. And also trying to understand a little bit of terminology which is used in different fields. So here I would strongly suggest that a good strategy is you try to improve your reading. Don't waste a lot of time also on it. I think every day 1.5 hours is more than sufficient. Just writing on Grammarly is a brilliant way. Out of 110 days, if you do it for the first 30 days, also your vocabulary is going to improve, your retentivity is going to improve. Because of typing on Grammarly, your language skills is going to improve. Overall, there will be a lot of improvement in VRs. At the same time, if you're the scared type, you can take some RC test also, but this has to be there because you can't take an MCAT unless you have exposure to reading excerpts from diverse fields. Also, you cannot dive into a full-length test unless you are completely prepared on sectional tests. What is a full-length test? 3 sections, 3 sectional tests. So if you are not good with the sectional test, you will not be good in the fuller test. First, you need to develop the test taking strategy in a section. So VARC, what is a good strategy? Should we start with VA? Should we start with RC? What kind of passages should I go for? DILR, a different mindset is required. You need to go like a warrior that yes, I will encounter tough sets, but I will crack them because my practice only is with tough sets and I have got good exposure to all types of sets. So you should be like how, in reading, it is said voracious readers. So when it comes to DILR, you should be like, looking for tough sets and no matter how much time it takes. See, right now at this stage, the amount of time it takes to crack a question or a set is not important. Right now, what is important is that when you encounter a set which you are not able to crack, or you come through a question which you are not able to solve, even if it takes 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, you should be able to understand it inside out. So if you're doing a games and tournaments, tennis a set, it is not only the 5 questions of the set. You have to understand the entire paraphernalia of types of questions, the type of variations, how to handle, games and tournaments as a whole. What are the varieties of sets and questions which can come in games and tournaments? So your objective should be an understanding, having an in-depth understanding to the whole. Preparedness across all topics. It is very, very important. Okay, in sectional test also, it is not only the basic sectional test, intermediate as well as advanced sectional test. See, CAT, as I was mentioning a few minutes ago, is a paper which will be consisting of easy, medium, and difficult. It is very, very important that you understand how to solve easy, medium, and difficult. Otherwise, you will be at a loss. Why you will be at a loss? Because it's not an easy paper like MAT or maybe like CMAT. So, are we expecting a tough, when you are preparing, should you expect a tough DRC? Yes. Should you expect a tough DLR? Yes. Should you expect a tough quant? Yes. How should you prepare? From beginning only understand that I have to start from basic, but I have to go till the end. So, the strategy, so suppose someone is doing time and work. They first do it from the basic material, then they do it from the advanced material, then they try to solve maybe tests which are there for time and work. If they want to look at some additional books also, but so they have to finish the entire, from level 0, bottom level till the last level. That's the way to prepare. And there is no hurry. 60 days. 60 days, 5 big topics in mathematics: arithmetic, numbers, algebra, PNC probability, geometry, mensuration. Reading practice and vocabulary goes hand in hand. So even if you're referring to word power made easy is a starter. So most of the times there will be hardly anyone who will be finishing the entire. It's just a starter. It gets you like, okay, you have to build the vocabulary. But the real vocabulary improvement happens when you're reading excerpts from different fields. That is when the real improvement would happen. So vocabulary and you're typing, so grammar is improving. At the same time, vocabulary is improving. At the same time, you're getting exposure, plus the retentivity is improving. So it's a win-win. It's a complete win-win. Those who are weak in RC will be weak in VA. Those who will be weak in VA will be weak in RC. English cannot be seen, in such a dichotomous way where RC and VA are separate. If you are good in both. So when you're preparing also, rather than straight away jumping into VA and trying to solve all those tough para jumbles which are in theta type in the answer mode, non-MCQ mode, and you're okay, will I ever be able to reach a stage where I am comfortable with this? Yes, you will be. First you go and improve your language skills. There is no shortcut to it. It's very simple. So in the drive link that we shared, if Sarsa can go back. So if you look at quant also, there are more books, it's okay, Sarthak, I'll just talk about it. So there are more books of quant apart from our regular time material. If you look at quant, VARC also, more material is there. And specifically, if we go to the VARC part, you will see which are the supplement books that one should look at when it comes to preparing for VARC for CAT. I think one of the good, areas which you can focus on for strengthening your RC is GRE and GMAT material. Here, whether it be referring to Manhattan's CRRC book or it be the GRE GMAT official verbal reasoning guide, I think you will come across good passages, short passages, and it will really improve your language skills. So apart from the CAT study material, what is another source that you should explore for strengthening RC? GRE official guide, they have their official guide, GMAT official guide, and the official guide of some other institutes like Manhattan about CR and RC. And here the best part will be that we are talking only about verbal reasoning, right, by the way, because the quant of GRE GMAT is not supposed to match up to the level of CAT. So let the quant preparation be separate. RC, definite link is there in terms of improvement if you're referring to GRE GMAT material. If we can go back to the presentation. Now I want to discuss about few things which you are not supposed to do. Sometimes maybe focusing on what not to do makes you a winner, because there are so many things not to do. First, when we talk about the test, what is our primary aim? We can go back to that slide. When we talk about test, what is our primary aim? Our primary aim is to arrive, when you look at a test analysis, the first thing I want you guys to focus upon is the right selection of questions. The right selection of questions is the aim, the first primary aim when it comes to taking a sectional test or when it comes to taking a full test. Here what you are supposed to see, that whether you are able to identify all the doables. So a doable question will differ from one student to another. So a question may be doable for me, it may not be doable for you, it may be doable for someone else. But as far as you are concerned, when you look at strengthening your test taking strategy, the right selection of questions is what you're supposed to look at first. So if suppose we are looking at VARC 34 questions or quant 34 questions, out of those 34 questions of quant, even if I would have got extra minutes or maybe extra 20 minutes, 30 minutes, would my attempts increase? Correct attempts increase? If you see that no, that means yes, you are able to identify all the doable questions as per you. That is the first and the most primary aim. Second, what should be the approach? The approach should be in 2 rounds. The approach has to be in 2 rounds. First round should be, you are only doing familiar questions. Try understanding. After practicing thousands of questions, when you go on 29th of November for your CAT paper, you will come across a good number of familiar questions which you will like to solve ASAP because you already solved it. So in round 1, it is mostly familiar questions. Round 2 are questions which you are able to understand, but it might take time because your confidence level is low, because you're not well exposed to that. At the same time, because you're not well exposed to it, it takes you some time to solve. That is the second. Third round is those questions which you have not been able to understand even after maybe reading the question 3 times. Third round never comes, so it's good because if suppose you're rereading, and still you're not able to grasp the question, it was supposed to be left, and it will differ which questions are to be left for you, for your friend, because everyone's, I'm telling you, nobody can say that okay, I have seen many times, even if we call a question difficult, maybe a boy comes in and solves it easily. Why? Because he has had exposure to such a question. So how do you define what is difficult? So I personally feel that a difficult question or a set is a question or a set which you have never practiced till date. That is very important. Enemy number 1 is, of course, panic. If you're going to be panicking, you'll not be thinking, you'll try to jump into solving the question. But the first rule of taking a test is read the question, reread the question, comprehend the question, then you start solving. Rather than immediately trying to stop every now and between and trying to solve. You have to understand the entire question. Maybe there is some trick in that. Maybe there is something which you will not understand if you don't reread it as a whole, and you start solving and wasting time. It helps you in 2 ways. A, in deciding whether the question should be solved in round 1 or whether the question should be solved in round 2. Second, there will be many questions and sets in CAT which are called trap questions or sets. If you are stuck in solving them, and you're going on giving minutes and minutes, you're not going to get the answer. So it also reading, rereading, understanding helps you in not getting into a situation where without completely understanding the question, you would have invested maybe 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and then you are not understanding further how to go about it. And because you have invested 3, 4 minutes, you want to invest some more minutes to see if there's a way through. This specifically happens in DILR when you read a set, and because you're under some pressure that I have to immediately get marks, you start solving it. Maybe you shouldn't have solved it in the first round, maybe second round or maybe third round, who knows. So right selection of questions is what you have to focus on when it comes to testing and analysis. If we can go to the next slide, Sarthak. Okay, what not to do? Silly mistakes. People do silly mistakes only if they are panicking or they're distracted. As Manish sir was talking about, not to get distracted, that is the most important thing. The challenge, the first big challenge for me, because I wanted to get 100% in CAT, was that when I study, I should have 100% focus, 100% attention. Everyone's mind is going here and there, but some people are able to focus on some important things because they're important things, and you have to prioritize. As I said, everything is about prioritizing. So when it comes to mocks, taking mocks or even studying, silly mistakes will happen if you're distracted or if you're scared, because when you're scared also your mind is busy. So if you want to avoid silly mistakes, be more attentive, have more concentration by avoiding any distraction as well as fear. Second, speed at the expense of comprehension. Okay, speed is important, but not like if you are amassing negative score. What is the point of reading a passage very fast when after reading the passage you did not even understand what was there in the passage? What is the use of being fast in a set in DILR when you missed a key point because you are being too hasty? What is the point in quant, even though you are strong in a particular area or a topic, you accumulate negative marking because you went too fast? You have to be fast, but not at the expense of comprehension. First, you have to understand. The more you practice, the more familiarity will come. You'll be able to understand things faster because of familiarity and practice. But the first focus is on comprehension. Don't miss that. People do this mistake quite often. I see that a lot of students have this habit. The moment the examination starts, they want to solve. They start solving. Don't do that. This is not TBC. Guessing. Why are you guessing? I don't understand. Why are you guessing? Because there is a negative mark. And once the scaling happens, maybe that negative is not -1. It is more than that. It is not as simple as +3 -1. It is called computation of raw score. And then the scaling and equating happens between the two slots across papers. And in that, a -1 may not be -1. It can be more than that. So what if you just did 4 guesses or 5 guesses per section, and you amass some 15 incorrect into not -1 but into how much you know? So please stop the guessing work. Spending too much time on a set or a question, especially theta. Theta is not having negative marking, but still the clock is ticking. So beyond the point, you would not pursue it if you're not able to get the answer. And same is the case with doing a set in DILR and it has already been 10 minutes, 12 minutes, you're not able to break through. It is called sunk cost. In finance also you'll be taught this. In business, what is sunk cost? That okay, you're going on pouring money into something, into maybe a project, but it's never going to give you return. It's sunk cost. Forget about it. The same is the case. In test taking strategy, it is very, very important to know when to leave. It is as important as right selection of questions. Fixing an ideal number of attempts. How many attempts you'll be able to do will completely depend on what is your level of preparation. Your focus will only be the same focus, the primary aim, to do all the doable questions. So if you are looking at 34 questions of quant, if you have that capability of doing all 34, you'll do all 34. If your capability is of doing 25, you'll do 25. What is a big mistake in terms of test taking strategy will be that a guy could have done 25 correct out of 34 in quant, but he did only 20 correct because he got to read everything and comprehend everything. Maybe because he spent too much time in some other question, or maybe he was slow, or maybe he had some panic issues or something like that. Most important thing is to know that how you have to do a test analysis is that did I miss any question which I could have done? These are the you should aspire for. If you can go to the next slide. I hope everything is clear to everyone. Am I also appearing to them? Very good. Don'ts. Again, don'ts. Why don'ts? Good things are good things, it's visible. Don'ts, because you never self-criticize yourself. So these things are very, very important. If you know what not to do, of course it means you know what to do. It's like set A, what is the complement of set A? Something like that. Don't carry ghosts of past mocks. You will get good mock, or you'll have a good performance sometimes, you'll have a bad performance sometimes. You can't carry the ghost. You have to do the analysis in such a way that even in a paper in which you scored very low, after you have done a thorough analysis. So in analysis, you also do questions which you didn't know by looking at the solution. It should be that even in the paper in which you had your worst performance, if that paper comes again to you, such a paper, you'll be able to get 100% right, because you have analyzed, you have learned. So it's very, very important. Don't have any ghosts of past mocks. Don't expect a paper. You don't know how the paper is going to be. The problem will be you'll be expecting a paper, and if you don't believe me, if you just look at maybe 20 mocks, you will see so much of dissimilarity. And you will see that maybe in some mocks you could perform well, in some mocks you may not be able to perform that well, depending on the composition of questions, depending on the questions, number of questions to which you have exposure or familiarity with. These things are very, very important. Don't expect a paper. Don't expect there will be these many questions from arithmetic, or these kind of RCs will come, or these kind of sets will come. Don't carry ghosts of past mocks. Don't expect a paper. Attempting questions from a particular topic first. It's not to be done. Some student goes with this feeling that I am very strong in algebra. So in the quant section, in the 34 questions, I will try to target algebra first. Maybe for that particular paper, the first questions out of those 34 questions were from algebra. What will happen to that boy's confidence? And what will be the wastage of time, huge wastage of time? What happened? Because you end up solving tough questions. You also have to understand that sometimes when you're analyzing, you will be like, okay, I gave it so much time and I got positive marks. That means I attempted it correctly. But then you have to understand, maybe because you spent too much time and despite getting maybe one correct, you lost maybe 3 other questions which you could have done in that time. And that's the reason why maybe I was talking about a guy who could have got 25 correct, 25 doable for him out of 34 in quant. He did 20 because of wastage of time. You have to be very, very particular about round 1, round 2. Round tuning a section in round will help you like anything. You have to focus on it, because then you start prioritizing. Okay, these questions first, these questions second. So automatically, at the beginning of the paper, only your mindset is I have to separate easy and difficult ones. Then, not experimenting in mocks. Where will you experiment? Tell me. If you don't experiment in mocks, where will you experiment? You want to do VA first, do VA first. You want to do RC first, do RC first. You want whatever hit and trials also you want to experiment. Do not shy away. It is a mock, it is not the actual paper. I have seen so many students, after taking first 2-3 mocks, they completely become hopeless, and then maybe they drop their calculation also. Don't get too happy, don't get too depressed when it comes to your mock performance. Why? It is a learning. So maybe today I am getting a very high score in a mock. Tomorrow I am not, because most of the questions which came in tomorrow's mock, I didn't have much practice in those type of questions. So what will I do? I'll practice them. Mock, the only thing that you have to observe, first, of course, 0 silly mistakes. B, across sections, were you able to identify and solve all the doable questions? How I used to, and as you know, as the CAT D-Day approaches 29th November, you will see that even if you were given 10 extra minutes in a section, you wouldn't have been able to score a lot, because you are able to extract your best potential in those 60 minutes. You're able to do all the doable questions in those 60. Maybe we can go to the next slide. More things, I thought how to present, today. I thought what not to do. It is very important what not to do. Avoid performance in one section affecting performance in another section. It's like you have 2 kids, Chotu and Motu. Chotu is fighting, you are beating Motu. I don't understand what was the reason. You have to understand CAT is not one paper, it is basically 3 papers. And when you go from one paper to another paper, you should just forget about the previous paper. 90% of the students, if they perform bad in a particular section, that will impact severely the performance in the next section, because they are simply not able to disconnect. You have to learn how to disconnect, when it comes to these 3 sections. Quant has no bearing on DILR. DILR has nothing to do with VARC. Section 1 has nothing to do with section 3, just because section 3 is coming after section 1 and 2. No. 3 papers, 3 different papers, like how civil services has few papers, CA and CPT is having many papers and all. So CAT, basically 3 papers are coming. It's just that you're not getting a gap. You're not getting a break. Like how in GRE, GMAT, you get a break between sections and article writing and all. Here, no break is there. But 3 different papers are there. Another. And plus, you also have to take it like have written another shot at reduction. Why? If suppose someone had a bad experience with DILR, quant is still left. So when you're quant, you should, instead of having this self-pity kind of a mentality, being a crybaby, you should be like a militant. You should be like a warrior. You should go and hack the questions to death in the in the quant area. So that you in the total score is what? Section 1 score plus section 2 score plus section 3 score, because the total score, scale score, is also calculated as scale score of quant plus scale score of DILR plus scale score of BARC. So if you are underperforming in a particular section, more is the responsibility on you to go and hit 4s and 6s in the next section. So like you have to think like this, that the game is not over as long as the game is not over. So where you are, I don't know how many people were able to listen to Virendra Mishra and another student whose name I'll not take now, because you see that today the same student, I was able to see another video. So the student who was doing calculations in Hindi, the cubes, squares, tables, reciprocals, today I saw a video of him giving his introduction in English, and it was very, very good. You meet him next year, and this Virendra Mishra, he's going to, he has joined IIM Lucknow, but he will convert his waitlist at IIM Bangalore also. You meet him after a year and you meet him after 2 years. It's all about how you think. That's the reason, I invited Manish sir. Anyone can do it. And I'm not here being partial to non-IIT or non-Stephanians. Most of these students are from IITs and St. Stephens and SRCC. They're my students as well. And they help me every year by topping across the country, getting volunteer rank 1, 2, and 3. So I'm very happy for them. But I am telling you what motivates me also is Raj story. You can go to the next slide. Exhausting, yes, exhausting oneself with too many mobs. Every time you take a mob, there should be butterflies in your stomach, and it is not wrong. It is not wrong at all. But if someone, I remember one girl, who was preparing with us last year for CAT 90, she was taking too many mobs. I told her, don't take too many mobs. She said, no, I'm good, I'll take too many mobs. What happened? She didn't do well in CAT because there is no thrill. You are exhausted. Before the paper, you are not having butterflies in your stomach. Your heartbeat is not like, you're not excited. There is no adrenaline rush. It is very, very important that you don't exhaust yourself with tests. A test is a special thing, because every time you take a test, you should feel in your mind that it is a real paper. Then only you'll be able to take benefit from it. And when you analyze also, so what is the point of taking a test if the analysis is not complete? What is the perfect analysis? That if the same paper comes, you'll get a full score. If 100 questions in a particular mock, you have taken the test, after the analysis, if you get those 100 questions, you should get all 100 correct. That is how analysis should be. Next slide. Yes, some of the common myths which we discussed last time also. No money, no entry. No, this is not the case with the Ivy League schools like IIMs, Excels, FMS, SP Jain, Jamnalal, MDI, IIFT, IIT Bombay. This is not the case with them. The institute will only arrange for a loan. You don't have to take any stress. Even if you are a villager, even if you have no money in your pocket, even if you are an EWS candidate, don't worry. No money, no entry is not the case. No English medium, no MBA. We have Virendra Mishra, and I think Akimab is requesting if we can play his video one more time, but I think everyone has heard him. And there are more than one, of this sort of case. There are many students who are from Hindi medium. And if you talk about me, I am from Ranchi. That's the capital of Jharkhand. Nobody speaks in English there. So throughout my schooling from Delhi Public School, Ranchi, like nobody spoke in English. So I was not good at it. But then I had to prepare for CAT. As Manish was saying, it does not matter whether you're good at something or not. It matters where you want to reach. In fact, one of the slides that we have is a very interesting slide. I would like to go back to the first slide in the presentation, which we didn't show. Sarthak, if you can go to the first slide, the very interesting, important slide. Remember why you started. That is the most important thing. Remember why you started. You're finding quant to be difficult, you don't want to study, you're having acidity attacks, you're puking, maybe your family members are bothering you, maybe your boyfriend is bothering you. Remember why you started, because you want to get out, you want to do something big, you want to create a big bang. And people are doing it on a yearly basis. Too many of them are doing it. So why you want to be an exception of failure? You should be succeeding. If you can go back, So many students are doing who are at a worse level than you. So why can't you? To the common bits. If you can go to the common bits here. Yes. Ma'am has also put a photograph of Albert Einstein. You don't have to be Albert Einstein. It's like a test which is having 100 questions and there are 3 sections and the timing is already given 1 hour for every section, 1 hour for 34 questions of ARC, 1 hour for 32 questions of DILR, 1 hour of 1 hour time for quant 34 questions. Inside the paper also more or less which are the areas of the topics that you need to study. You need practice, more than intelligence, you need practice, and second you need emotional management. Why? Two types of approaches. One approach is, I recall once I was doing a problem and I was not able to get through the question. So I went for a walk, I thought about it, and finally I got what is the answer. Other approach will be directly looking at the solution or completely giving up. It's about the approach. The approach is very important. 60 days you can relax. Relax means when you are studying, don't panic while studying. Study carefully, study thoroughly. Get into the shoes of the person who is setting the paper. Try to understand what variety. Try to understand the crux, the base, the fundamental of that situation. That should be done for the next 60 days. Good academics are compulsory. We'll discuss it in the next slide whether good academics are compulsory. WorkX, no WorkX, no MBA. I don't think so. We'll discuss that as well. Only engineers are there. So we'll discuss it as well. If you can go to the next slide. Next slide is basically if you look at the shortlisting process of Blackie, the top 6 IIMs. If you specifically look at institutes like IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Lucknow, IIM Calcutta, the weightage is 56 to 65% to CAT alone, which is a huge weightage when it comes to selection interview shortlist. Huge. It is in your hand, so we call it controllable. What is in your hand? So, in worst case scenario, if we just leave IIM Indore out, IIM Bangalore also 40% is in your hand in the first stage. This is the worst scenario. Best case scenario, 65% is in your hand. If you average it out, you will see that CAT, and then we are talking about WAT, that is the essay and the interview. Look at the weightage: 60% in IIM Ahmedabad, 58 in IIM Calcutta, 60 in IIM Indore, 55 in IIM Kozhikode. So if you look at CAT, essay and interview, which is in your hand, which you call controllable, it accounts to the majority part of the selection process. It is a lie. It is a lie that if you have poor academics, you cannot make it to Blackie. You, of course, cannot make your very poor scores in 10th graduation. Maybe you cannot make it to 2 out of the 6 Blackies. If you have horrible scores, maybe then 3 out of 6 Blackies. But if you get a very, very high percentile, I am having students which will talk about who didn't have exceptional scores in the 10th graduation, still they made it to Blackie and they are from middle category. Then WorkX, if you look at WorkX, I am Ahmedabad 0, I am Indore 0, I am Lucknow 5. So I think we all know that Indian B school, if you talk about the 2-year MBA, 2-year regular MBA, it is meant for either freshers or people up to maybe 3 years, 3 years of experience. It's like the best, age category that you can be when it comes to cracking CAT and doing MBA from these top institutes. If you're having 4, 5, 5, 6, then anyways you'll go for the executive MBA, the 1-year MBA and not a 2-year proper MBA. CATs, of course it matters, but you can see it is not like if you have poor CATs, there is no chance. Still, if you perform very well in CAT, in essay, that's the reason essay practice has to start from now. Just writing on Grammarly is very important. It will work like elixir for you. Interview, CAT, and essay. These 3 things are in your hand. Your objective should be Blackie. And here even I am referring to students who are in IIT Bombay and IIT Kanpur and IIT Guwahati, IIT Chennai and all, because in the next slide we'll see what is the trend of placements when it comes to Lucknow, Indore, Kozhikode, vis-a-vis Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta. If we can go to the next slide. Yes, the kick story. Kozhikode, Indore, Calcutta story. Look at the jump in IIM Calcutta also 2017, 20 lakh average placement, then 24 lakh in 18, 25.5 in 19, and 28 in 2020. Look at Kozhikode, jump from 17 to 20 to 23. Indore, 18 to 20 to 23. They are very, very close. If you look at KI, they are very, very close to, Lucknow and Ahmedabad in terms of placement, which we look into the next slide. If you look at the next slide, that slide I think is not there, but if we can just stay here. So even though it is not in this slide, I do remember the figures. For Ahmedabad in 2019, the 2020 placement report is not declared. Ahmedabad 2019, 26 lakh was the average. So if you look at Kozhikode and Indore, the rate at which they are going, in 1 to 2 years, they will be at par. And if you look at the highest salaries also, the highest domestic salaries, if you look at 2020 for KIL, look at the increase. In 2019, both K and I, 41 was the highest. In Kozhikode, it has jumped, it has gone up to 58. Basically, the trend I am talking about is that gone are the days that when you can only get your dream profile, your dream company, or a good package if you are going to ABC and you're already from a British Pilani or a top IIT or something like that. Even if you talk about Kozhikode, Lucknow, Indore, good things are happening. They are catching pace with the older IIMs, and it's just about a year or two they will be at par more. Next. You can go to the next. If you can go to the previous slide, we had missed the point of diversity. Diversity is of two types. One is gender diversity, that means if you're a girl student, you'll get some points. And the second is academic diversity, if you're a non-engineer. So you see that there are some points, Bangalore 2, Calcutta 4, Lucknow 10, Indore 6, and Kozhikode 10 points. So this also is very, very important. It's an uncontrollable. Of course, I'm not expecting that someone is going to go for a gender change just to get gender diversity points. If you can go to the next slide. This also I have shared with some of my students. Now, because of Corona, there might be a trend in some of your families where people are going, on recommending government jobs because it's safer and you'll not be fired and all. But look at the difference. You have to think long term. Corona is not permanent, right? It's going to go at some point. If you look at two banks, HDFC Bank, which is the largest private bank, and SBI, which is the largest government bank, look at the difference in the salary of the two CEOs. The SBI chief salary is 31 lakh rupees per annum, and the HDFC chief salary is not only 19 crore. 19 crore is just in salary component. He is also getting 161 crore rupees in stock options. He is getting a total of 180 crores. Look at the difference. Can you compare 31 lakh rupees to 180, 190 crore rupees? You cannot. You simply cannot. So please know why you are here. You are here to jump not to just the next level, but to a level which is very disconnected to where you are currently. If you are going to think in terms of safety, security, all those kind of things, so maybe right now you'll be able to justify it, but later you'll be like, what did I do? There is such a huge difference between me and the other person. With all due respect, to maybe people who work in government positions, including people who are in armed forces and all. Some of my relatives also are in government service and in armed forces. So I met, one of my cousins, and he is, in the forces, armed forces. Just telling him that your life must be very thrilling and you must be liking it a lot and all. You know what he told me? He said that I don't like it. I don't have a complaint with my life, but I don't like it when I see my friends, they are, driving fancy cars and they're cracking big deals and they're in different continents, sometimes in weekends, and they're doing things where they can control their career, they can grow their career. But I am at a position where I can contribute to the Indian society, to the mother nation security and all. But I don't know how to grow there. Understand this. You would like to have the remote control of your life in your hands. The problem with government sector is that it is so institutionalized. Things are so predetermined, pre-decided in terms of seniority, promotions, and everything, years of service. that if you are if you have the mentality of an achiever, if you're a go-getter, you want to do something big, you want to be proud of yourself, the opportunities are not there. That's the reason you will see that in government jobs, people become lackeys. That means they become bootlickers in order to get promoted, because they see that, okay, merit may not be the criterion here, because merit is not taken into account when it comes to promotions. You have to be smart enough here at that stage in life. Which was the previous slide, Sarthak? If we can go to the next slide. Next is? Okay, the next thing is CAT form filling, and then we'll talk about TBC. So it is very, very simple. If you can go to the website iimcat.ac.in, iimcat.ac.in, if you can go to that. Someone is asking what is Q&A. QA is quantitative ability, basically maths. That's what it is called. English section is called BA and RC, verbal ability and reading comprehension. And DI and LR is data interpretation and logical reasoning. We can go. The only thing we'll talk about when it comes to is everyone able to see the website, the CAT 2020 website, iimcat.ac.in. Arthak, are they able to see it? Good. What are the important things to see? If you go down, yes, just stay there. Now, I want you to read all the PDFs which are under no more. Take your time. Read all the PDFs which are under no more. Here, if you can open the CAT 2020 information bulletin, Sarthak. Let us talk about the programs. The places where you will be having problems in CAT 20 form filling, I'll be addressing them. First, I'll be addressing the programs that you have to choose. It's very simple. Just choose the first program for all the IIMs. The first program. So IIM Ahmedabad PGP, IIM Amritsar MBA, IIM Bangalore PGP, IIM Bodh Gaya PGP, IIM Calcutta MBA, IIM Indore PGP, IIM Jammu PGP, IIM Kashipur MBA, IIM Kozhikode PGP, IIM Lucknow PGP, IIM Nagpur PGP, IIM Raipur PGP, IIM Ranchi PGP, IIM Rohtak PGP, IIM Sambalpur MBA, IIM Shillong PGP, IIM Sirmaur MBA, IIM Trichy PGP M, IIM Udaipur MBA, IIM Visakhapatnam PGP. You have to select the first program. The first program for all IIMs, that is the regular 2-year MBA for which you are preparing. Then some of the programs that you can select will go, IIM wise. IIM Ahmedabad. PGP is the 2-year MBA, regular MBA. The second program is PGP in FABM, which is Food and Agri-Business Management. Food and Agri-Business Management. Here, if you are interested in the Tier 2, Tier 3 market, not necessarily the rural market, the Tier 2, Tier 3 district market, the rural market. Here, whether we talk about marketing of any goods and services, or operations production, or finance and microfinance, small time lending to farmers and all, those students who are focused in rural market, Tier 2, Tier 3 city market, they can also consider FABM. But here, preference is given to those students who are already coming from that bachelor background of related to food and agriculture. So that is EPGP is not for you guys. That's a part-time MBA. IIM Amritsar MBA. You have to apply. EMB is executive MBA, not for you. Third is MBA in Business Analytics. So a lot of IIMs have started programs focused on business analytics. Okay, what are the important things that you need to consider before jumping into doing a specialization in business analytics? You should be comfortable with maths, and in maths specifically statistics. You should be comfortable with computer, working on different software and all. These two things are the most important things, because business analytics, it leads to how do we analyze a lot of data. Of course, when you analyze a lot of data, you can't do a qualitative analysis sitting and analyzing every single data. You'll be using, statistical tools on SPSS and all to, get meaningful results out of that data. So be very, very sure what you're getting into. It's a good field, it's a growing field, but you need to have some interest as well as some background also in this field. So if maybe you're doing CS or stats honors, maths honors, these kind of fields, of course, they can go for business analytics, or if you're genuinely interested in the field of business analytics, big data. MBA HR. HR is a very specific, function of management. So there are 5 major functions: finance, marketing, operations, system is computer science, and HR, human resource. Here, finance, marketing, operations are key functions. HR is known as an enabling function. Only if you are very, very sure I want to do MBA in HR, you should go for this program. Here, you'll be taught about talent acquisition, talent retention, and things related to personal management, industrial relations, training and development. So when you look at a specialized program, I know 99.99% of you don't have any idea about it only. So why would you like to fill in? Why would you like to show a fake interest when you not be going for it? If you have interest, there has to be a surety in it. Okay, then I am Bangalore. PGP is what you will fill. PGP EM is enterprise management, not for you. PGP BA is business analytics. Again, if you're interested, a very good program. This year also, a good number of my students have joined this program, PGP BA at IIM Bangalore. But if suppose you're coming from arts humanities background, why will you go for business analytics? Because you wouldn't have studied enough, statistics and maths and computer science. So be very careful that there has to be at least some connection to your bachelor background when you look at a specialized course. Then we look at IIM Indore PGP HRM, same is a good program, but only if you're interested in HRM. IIM Kashipur MBA in Analytics, Business Analytics. MBA WX is weekend program for working executives. So that's the reason it's basically the first program that you all have to select, and then only if some students are interested in business analytics, they will select business analytics. Some students are interested in HR, they will select HR as well. Otherwise, it is very, very simple. So if we look at IIM Ranchi also, business analytics, HR is also there. If you are interested, you can select it. IIM Rohtak, EPGPX is not for you at all. Again, it's a part-time executive online offline model. And EPGP DSM is sports management, diploma in sports management. That is also only if you're interested. If someone is interested in sports, they can go for this course in sports management at IIM Rohtak. EPGP executive postgraduate diploma in sports management. Then IIM Shillong PGPX is executive, PGPW is for working executives part-time program. IIM Sirmaur MBA T and HM is tourism and hospitality management. If you are interested in tourism hospitality management, you can select that program. IIM Trichy PGP HR, PGPM HR is self-explanatory. PGP BM, don't select. It's a program based out of Chennai, and it's again a part-time weekend-based program. IIM Visakhapatnam PGP EX is again part-time, and PGP DGM is digital governance and management. So it is not for you. What to do? Don't use all of your imagination. Just select the first against every IIM. And if you're interested in HR also. If you're interested in analytics, then analytics also. This is how you have to go about it. Then if you can go back to the, now you will see certificates. A lot of students are having a lot of doubts about they're from EWS, so how to go about it. Everything is very self-explanatory. If you go to the EWS certificate, Sarthak, if you can click on it, it will be written, everything will be written. First, it is written here only that your annual family income should be less than 8 lakh. Also, you should not be having any of those 4 which are mentioned, like 5 acres of agricultural land or residential flat of 1000 square feet. So things are already mentioned. You don't have to. So if you are having problem with categories, this time if you go back to the website, IIMs have also done a very good thing. They know that you can't go out to take a category certificate during Corona. So they have an undertaking format. If you can go to the last certificate, it is called an undertaking. What is an undertaking? It is saying that I am coming from this category, but I am not able to get the certificate right now because of Corona, of course. So the EWS certificate, if you again go back to, so the EWS certificate, if you can open. So this you have to fill by yourself. You have to self-assist it. At the same time, you have to self-attest it. Sorry, you have to at the same time even upload the undertaking. Otherwise, you are self-attesting it. What is the guarantee? What is the proof that it is not fake? So you're also giving an undertaking. At later stages, if you are found that it's a fake certificate in the sense that you don't belong to this category, you'll be again debarred. So what's the point in doing all this if it is not a original? Same is the case. If you don't have an updated certificate, so if you go to say NCOBC certificate, if you can click on it, Sarthak, go down. Everything is self-explanatory. It is already mentioned. Which website also you'll get your caste number, ncbc.nic. Everything is mentioned. It is self-explanatory. So what I would suggest is, if you can again go back, it is also mentioned everywhere that all can sign. So if suppose someone is an ST, they need to download the ST certificate which is there. So most of the students will already be having a certificate. If they have the certificate, they don't need this certificate. But I'm saying if they don't have the certificate, they can download the respective certificate, get it attested. Here you should try to get attested by the government authorities. They have mentioned who all are eligible. But if in Corona you are not able to, then you can give an undertaking, which is already there. Everything is self-explanatory. So what I want you to do is very simple. No more. Under no more, read all the PDFs. Quick tour. Do read the CAT 2020 registration guide very carefully. The CAT 2020, if you go to the CAT 2020 registration guide, please read it very, very carefully. It talks about how to fill the form. But here I will talk about how to fill the form a little bit where students face problems. 10th. At some places in the website, it is mentioned that in 10th you should follow the board. What is their custom when it comes to calculating the percentage of marks. But then later they said no. For 10th and 12th, you need to consider the score of every single subject which is mentioned in the mark sheet. Every single subject. So those questions that sir, I am from ICSE board, is best of this or best of 4 or best of 5. No, if for CBSE, ICSE, state board, every subject which is mentioned there, you have to take the total, you have to calculate the percentage. For 10th and 12th. Graduation, either the university, if they are giving CGPA, you have to convert your CGPA into percentage. The method will be given at the back of the score sheet. If not, then the maximum CGA, your CGPA divided by maximum CGPA possible into 100 will give you the percentage. Everything is, when you fill the form, everything will be self-mentioned. When you go to a photo section where you have to upload your photograph, be written, it has to be a white background, this is the dimension which has to be there. You just have to read it carefully. Do not pay the money as long as the entire form is not filled. You don't have to fill the form at one go. You can fill it across days also whenever you get time. If someone, so the last date to fill the CAT form, if I'm not mistaken, is well, 16 September. Even if you fill the form on 14 September, there is no problem. It's not that if I am going to fill today and you will fill on 14 September, I will have an advantage. I'll get my center or I'll get a morning slot or an afternoon slot. Random allocation of slots happen. Nobody is at an advantage. Don't be in a rush to fill the form. Pay the money only once you have checked the entire form. Even after paying the money and submitting the form, if there is some big mistake that you have done, you have to fill another form. In the another form, new form, your email ID needs to be different. Your email ID will change, you will again fill the form. If you have done a mistake, so some things you cannot change, like your name and some other things as well. So that is very, very important. I hope, there will not be many doubts when it comes to CAT 20 form filling. Anyways, we are there to help you. If you just read, if you go back to that website, imcat.ec.in, Sarthak, one very, very important thing is that FAQs is there at the top of the website. So I want you to read no more, all the PDFs under no more, CAT 20 registration guide, the certificates which are applicable to you. And if you go to the top, Sarthak, if you go to the top, the FAQs which are there, topmost right side, home, about us, FAQs. I want all of you to read the FAQs as well. If you click on the FAQs, you'll see the FAQs. One big doubt which is there in the mind of many students is that for some of you, the second year examination has not happened. Your pre-final year examination has not happened. You are still not in final year. Wait. In September is the last date. At least wait till 10-12 September. Maybe you will have your exams. Even if you are not going to be having your exams, there will be some change in the rules. Because most of the universities across the country, they are having delayed examinations. So you are not going to be the only one. So don't think you'll be debarred from CAT or whether you are eligible to take CAT 20 or not. you plan. There will be changes in rules. Right now the rule says while filling the form only, you have to be in your final year to be eligible to apply for CAT examination. So don't fill the form. If you are not in your final form, wait. Till 10th September, more clarity will come and we'll see it then. So this part is over. Can we get back to the slide? I hope you guys are following. A lot of information is being disseminated for you guys, and I want all of you to come be at the top of your game. Make me proud, make yourself proud, make your family proud, and all. Sarthak, if you can go back to the slide and we can go to the next slide. TBC, trial by combat. We are coming with a new format. TTS, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, every day on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 9:30 p.m. at night, we'll be taking a mini CAT. DRC half an hour, DILR half an hour, quant half an hour, where inside a section you will be able to post your answers only in 5 time slots. After the first 10 minutes, so 10 to 10, 1 minute. Next, at the end of 15 minutes, 15 to 15:01. Then 20, 20:01, 25, 25:01, and last between 29 to 30 minutes. You can post it. This will help you in learning how in the first 10 minutes to maximize your score by looking at the most doable question. Then in the next 5 minutes, how to change. This will improve your question selection, which is the key to cracking CAT. So after first 10 minutes, after first 15, after first 20, after first 25, and 29 to 30 minute ke beach mein you have to post your answers. This is going to help you a lot. On Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, we'll be having trial by combat, and we will be bringing you good CAT level questions of BRC, quant, DILR, and the format is changed now. It will help you in basically doing the paper in 2 rounds where the first 10 minutes matter. So if half an hour test of BRC, we are talking about first 10 minutes. So when you try to extrapolate it to a full length sectional test of BRC, it amounts to 20 minutes. So the first 20 minutes is very important. The next 10 minutes is very important. Then the next 10 minutes is very important. You have to think of a 30-minute in terms of a 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And similarly, when we look at 60 minutes, you have to look at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes. And only you guys will understand how to perform to the best of your ability in a paper. If you can go to the next slide. Trial by Combat presents Excelsiors, and I'm proud of some of the students who have been taking the test honestly and they have been scoring consistently. The competition is across the country. We have students from different IITs, from the local colleges, from different universities, and I'm proud to present the Excelsiors, who have consistently performed so far. Naman Roshan from IIT Kanpur, Asta Sharma from NIFT Mumbai, Dhruv Prakash from IIT Chennai, Rachit Agarwal from National PG, Shri from Amity, Piyush Trivedi from MS Ramaya, Rishabh Bhatia from NIT Trichy, Sharik Abid from Lucknow University, Deepak Kumar from IIT Lucknow, Utsav Akarshan from IIT Kanpur. These are the first 10 positions. Brilliant. Bravo. Bravo. 11, Rachit Srivastava from IIT Guwahati. 12, Bhavpreet Singh Batra from Jagran. 13, Jay Verma EK Group from NIT Bhopal. 14th, Aditi Singhal from BGPG Kanpur. 15th, Kriti Shukla from PPN Kanpur. 15th again, Praveen Singh from GLB Hardoi. Manas Gupta 16th from Unity Degree College. 17th, Ayushi Srivastava from Jagran. 18th, Agya Katyar from CSJM. 19th, Vinamr Garg from KKC. And 20th, Shivali Singh from TVSM. Congratulations to all of you. But now we are upping the game. With the new format of TBC, you are going to be further drawn closer to fine-tuning your test-taking strategies for actual CAT. On Tuesday, we will be having that. If you can go to the next slide, Sarthak. If you can go to the next slide. Okay, we are talking about some of the students I have taken as an example. So if we just talk about the students from, those who have been in this year, some of them are going to IIM Ahmedabad. Brigant is an engineer. Ritvik is a BBA student. It's not compulsory, it's a mix actually. Nigam is also going to IIM Ahmedabad. He has joined IIM Ahmedabad. Ritvik has joined IIM Ahmedabad. Nihir has joined IIM Ahmedabad. Tanmay has joined IIM Ahmedabad. Parth has joined IIM Ahmedabad. Different colleges. You are having colleges like IIT also. You have colleges like IIT also. You have got BBA, top BBA institutes also. Anyone can do. If you go to the next one. Some of the students, Mansi again a BBA student. Apurva is a BTech student. It's a mixed basic. And Bangalore. They've already joined this year. Classes have already started in some of the IIMs. Next, Rishabh, Srivastav, Ayush Krishna, Devesh Godpani, Shreyansh Gupta, Abhinav Yadav. All of them already joined IIM Calcutta. We go to the next, IIM Lucknow. These are local. So Birendra is currently at IIM Lucknow. This year he has joined IIM Lucknow, but he moved to IIM Bangalore. Prasun, Abhay, and all of them are local people. So if I am not mistaken, Abhay Kasera, he stays in Sitapur. And if we talk about Birendra, he is also coming from a village close to Kanpur. All are local people. We go to next. They've already joined. And when we talk about results, we only talk about Blackie. We don't talk about the other 14 IIMs, including IIM Shillong. We only talk about Blackie. So Shrishti Omar from Kanpur, Aditi Singhal, Aditi Verma from Amity, Nikhil Meghani from PBD, Shani again from Lucknow, Narendra, all of them are local students. They're joining IIM Kozhikode. Then IIM Indore, Nandini Garg, Anubhav Patel, Swapnil Shri, Abhishek Kumar Pandey. A lot of students are going to Blackie. What stops you from going to Blackie is only the way you think. That is the most important thing. You need to change the way you think. I'll just ask how much time do we have. Okay, I'll just take 5 more minutes. If you can remove the presentation, 350 students made it to IIMs this year. These 350 students are those students who have been actually trained in them. This year, I don't want to talk about 350 students going to 20 IIMs. I want to talk about a lot of students going to Blackie. There are already a lot of students going to Blackie, but I want that list to grow longer. If you are, I remember as a kid, I watched a movie in which the catchphrase was, "Ain't no mean if you got no swing." If you really are, in the competition, if you are a gladiator, or even if you're a wannabe gladiator, please have Blackie. The visualization is very, very important. You know what to study. You know what to study. You know how to study. You know the division of time will be as per your comfortability across topics. What is stopping you is from doing most of the times. And maybe the inspiration. I can be your inspiration like you are my inspiration. When I see students like you guys making it to Blackie and they're doing very big in life, most of my students gives me great joy in saying they have already written books also by now after passing out. They're doing very well. So if it has to be a win-win situation, you have to understand one thing very, very importantly. It's in your head. Every day when you get up, every day when you go to sleep, the way you are thinking, your mood, emotions, everything is in your hand. If you are able to manage it well for the next 110 days by dividing it into 60 plus 20 plus 30 plus 60 is for as much practice of variety of questions in sets, as much exposure to a variety of readings from different fields. These 60 days, please do not panic. Don't be in a rush. Do it. Give it as much time as possible. So if you have nothing to do, give it 8, 9 hours, 10 hours. If you are working also, give it 4, 5 hours every day. So how many hours will depend on how free you are also. What other additional headaches you have in life. But if you are serious for CAT, then this has to be your first priority, but not at the expense of the college exams. You have to perform there as well. And most importantly, it is the material from which you practice. So you have to understand that I have seen all students who have taken test series of some other coaching institutes and they are very happy because the tests are easy. CAT is not going to be a cakewalk. When you talk, my favorite section has always been DI. How I prepared for DIR was I knew that tough sets are coming to the paper, so I started solving only tough sets. So initially, of course, when you are solving a tough set, it will take a very, very long time. But then once you have understood it from inside out, then it won't take time. DILR, please every day solve tough sets. Maths, be a champion in a topic, then only move to another topic. I don't like when students ask their counselor that, sir, I'm doing algebra in the morning batch, I want to do PNC in the evening batch. How are you managing so much? Doing algebra in the morning, PNC in the evening, what are you practicing? Take a topic, do PhD. Algebra, basic algebra, intermediate algebra, higher algebra, lot 1 algebra, lot 2 advanced material algebra, basic test, advanced test, all tests of algebra, algebra complete. Even if I want more material from time, I'll go for some good material, extra practice. But of intermediate and advanced level. Basic you're already practicing from our material. Even if you want, and then you have to practice intermediate and advanced from our material. But if you want more practice, don't go for very basic material. For example, you will have seen that for RC, I specifically talked about Manhattan and GRE official guide, CMAT official guide because the passages are good. In maths also, for example, if you ask me M-hierarchical mathematics, the arithmetic portion, you get a good number of questions to practice. So you should know where to practice, Basic is, if your basics is very weak, for arithmetic, you cannot look at NCERT maths books because they don't have questions, that many questions from arithmetic. But for algebra and geometry mensuration, specifically, good number of questions for practice. Know where to practice from. 60 days, practice. Give 8 to 10 hours. Try to get exposure to all sorts of questions. Don't get too comfortable with basic and easy level questions. Once you have understood the basics, you have solved good number of basic and level questions, move to intermediate, move to advanced. Push yourself out of your comfort level. While studying only every day, know that, okay, I'll be doing difficult stuff. I'll be trying to, if you're mentally prepared, it will not give you a headache if you are, understanding difficult stuff. 60 days, this should be the plan. Then the next 20 days, after 60 days, sectional test. Try to improve on sectional tests. In VRC, experiment. What should be the right strategy? So after 20 days, your strategy should be completely full and final for VRC, for not for DLR. In the last 30 days, every day a mock of a good level. In that mock also, I have discussed how to go about the analysis. When 10 days are left for CAT, it should be that when you analyze a paper, you don't take much time because you already know the paper. So your amount of hours invested in analysis of a test will drastically reduce as you approach the CAT window. Now, if you take a full test, you will not be able to solve many questions. You will go and you will understand how to solve and all. But this will not be the case always. Rome was not built in a day. It takes time. 110 days is very good. You have a lot of time. Don't say that, hey, I'm panicking. If you're panicking anyways, I showed to you, panic, maybe number 1. Stay away from it. We'll have more webinars. We'll have exclusive webinars on how to prepare for other exams. Okay, why didn't I talk about other exams? Because no other exam is happening right. NMAT also, the dates had come, but day before yesterday I received the mail that GMAT on the NMAT website has cancelled all dates. Fresh dates will be issued. What do you want to prepare for? Only CAT is pakka, tangible right now. OMETs, I'm sure, will be delayed to an extent. CAT may not be delayed. So focus on English, focus on maths, focus on DI, focus on LR. Please don't focus on other exams. When other exams, the time will come, I'll take a webinar. I'll not talk about CAT. I'll only talk about other examinations. Just focus on CAT. Thank you. I hope, in this limited time, I was able to, give my best and tell you things which will help you. You guys are very, very sweet because in today's time, it's very easy to give hope. You don't give hope. As my brother said, so when I started preparing for CAT, the expectation from me was zero because I was not good at studies. I was pathetic at studies in school. I was a cricketer. But at that point, when I used to go, maybe attend a seminar, maybe get inspired with my brother getting a 1 crore package after IIM Ahmedabad. So maybe I would have thought that, hey, I'm not that serious. Am I wasting my time? Is it even possible? Same is the case with most of you guys right now. The very fact that you're listening to this webinar means that you're interested. If you just continue down that journey, it will be a very pokey journey. You will be having thorns everywhere because maybe some of you are not used to preparing for a competitive examination. This is the first experience of life, preparing for a such a competitive examination. If you just keep on continuing down the journey, one day you will reach the goal. Those people who are very smart, they reach there faster. But everyone can reach there. You know, that's the trick. You want to be a billionaire, you can be a billionaire. Maybe someone can become a billionaire faster than you, but you will also become a billionaire. Same is the case with competitive examinations. There is a saying that whatever you truly desire and follow, you will get in life. Follow that. Thank you. And Happy Man wants to give my number or something. Manu is asking about tourism and hospitality management. I don't recommend it at all. My friend, during Corona times, do you think that tourism and hospitality management is the right industry to do a specialized course in? Not at all. I am not going anywhere abroad for holidays for quite some time. Either I am going to hotels, because some hotels have also been converted into COVID centers and all. So looking at the time, because you want a placement immediately after 2 years. If I remove placements, I know 99% of the students will leave. They will leave the MBA dream. So placements are very, very important. I feel that apart from the first program across all IIMs I discussed, no other program is worth banking upon, given that we are in this financial crisis right now. Only the first PGP or MBA program, there is a 100% guarantee. And here also, I believe in black tea. I am from black tea. I believe in black tea. I have trained hundreds of students who have gone to black tea and who have gone to non-black tea IIMs also. I know the difference between those two categories of students. And after passing out also, I have seen the career trajectory. It has been totally different. They are, maybe walking at two different parallels. Students who are passing out of black tea and those who are passing out of new IIMs, baby IIMs, and even IIMs Shillong. So, all the best. And Happy Man wants me to share my number. You can type my number, you can WhatsApp me, you can call me. I think anyways, most of my students have my number. My name is Ashish sir. The font presentation and all is very unattractive, but this is the last slide, so we can just humor ourselves in this basic slide. Ashish sir is my name. 89489666663 is my number. We will also be giving the recording, sharing the recording of this webinar with all of you, so that in case you miss some point because you want to go to the toilet or maybe some net connection issues or something, we will share it with you maybe tomorrow. And thank you. After BA, sir, when will Excelsior batch start? Excelsior batch has already started. Today again we disclose the name of 20 students who are Excelsiors for this year. Special preparation for Excelsior will soon start. But right now, everyone is struggling with basic preparation. First, to get the basic preparation there, then we'll go to specialized level, high level. Any other question? Which program to join after BA? See, don't think which program after BA, which program after BTech. You guys should go for a general MBA. Which is the biggest advantage of doing MBA from a top-notch institute? In any big MBA institute like IIMs, in first year, you are taught everything: finance, marketing, operations, systems, HR, and strategy. In second year also, out of the 5 to 6 areas, you'll be selecting minimum 3 areas. Some of them select 4 areas also. So you will have an understanding of the entire management setup as to how different functions work. And at a senior level, all functions are interlinked. If as a director I have to take a decision, I have to take a decision for marketing also, I have to take a decision for operations also, for operating systems also. So when you think of MBA, think of proper general MBA. Don't think I'm from BA, I'm from BCom. Only in case of business analytics, if you are from BA, I would not recommend you. There is also a trend that if you're a BA student, you should go for HR. No, first explore the general MBA. Because the problem is that if you are just a specialist in HR, you will only be in the HR department of companies. You will never be the CEO, or you will never be in a profit and loss responsibility kind of position. So even arts and humanities students who are scared of maths, don't be scared of maths, because you're no more a child. As a child, we like Karela, we hate Karela, we like Palak, we hate Palak. Like when we grow up. You have to grow up. You have to stop liking, disliking. You have to understand that kaise when you go at war, earlier people used to have talwar also, they used to have arrows also, bow and arrow also. So quant, DILR, BARC are the 3 weapons. To win, you have to use all 3, because they're 3 different papers, 3 different types. Same is the case with MBA. Don't think of finance, marketing, operations, systems, HR. Don't think of understanding everything. Please tell me the most main topics in quants. Arithmetic, in arithmetic, simple equation, ratio proportion variation, percentage profit and loss, simple interest, compound interest, time, speed and distance, time and work, averages, mixtures, alligation. All topics are important in arithmetic. Similarly, in algebra, whether we talk of function graphs or we talk about indices, logs and surds, or special types of equations or progression in series, because we don't know what will be the breakup. So in maths, all the areas are important. It's exactly like when you are doing your RC preparation, you cannot say that, okay, I don't like reading spiritual, passages and all, so I will not read. But you have to read spiritual articles, also articles of spirituality and the usage of words like conscience and higher consciousness and all. You have to grasp it. It is like that. NCERT book is required. Yes, it is required only if you are coming from non-maths background. And for topics like geometry, mensuration, algebra, it is very, very good, and also for numbers. For arithmetic, MTIRA is a better book. And anyways, I feel that you have to solve basic questions, of course, but you have to also solve a lot of intermediate and advanced level questions. So, of course, when you talk of NCERT, MTIRA, we are talking about basic level. Solve it. 60 days is more than sufficient to solve basic, intermediate, as well as advanced. I think what should we do once we are done with the basics? Of course, move to the intermediate and advanced level questions. And alongside intermediate advanced level questions, start taking sectional tests. And once you have taken good number of sectional tests and have solved good number of intermediate advanced level questions, get into your full length test. It's the basic way to move. We'll be, closing the webinar. What's the time? We'll be closing the webinar, but don't worry, we'll be doing more webinars now. CAT date has been announced, and 29th is the date. We'll be doing more sessions. We'll be doing exclusive Q&A also. So what I have decided is, because today we were not able to take question and answers from a lot of questions from a lot of students. We were having other speakers also like Manish sir. So we will be doing a separate webinar very, very soon, which will just be a Q&A. You guys will be posting questions and I'll be answering it live for you. So other exams we'll discuss later. Other exams, the notification is not out. NMAT also notification was out, but they have cancelled the dates. So what other exams? We'll talk of other exams. Right now, CAT notification is released. You should just focus on CAT. We will be having, by practice, you can increase your speed. Yes, you can. We will be having another session. It will be an exclusive Q&A. Allow me to go now. I don't want to go anyways, but still have to go because maybe most of you guys have to go. Thank you. I hope you like the session. I hope you like the talk by Manish sir as well. The psyche is very, very important. Our mind is very, very important. So if we don't know how to control our mind, we will not be able to control our actions. Profile, how to strengthen your profile. We will be having a Q&A. Very, very soon you guys will be sent the Zoom link like today. We'll be having a Q&A. See, building profile is important, but not at the expense of cracking CAT. The same thing like speed, but not at the expense of comprehension. So many people are thinking, okay, let us do a summer internship, let us do a course which will take maybe 50 hours, 100 hours. Please focus on CAT examination right now. That is more important. You don't have that much time also. 110 days will just go like that. It was until recently only that we had Holi in first week of March, when nobody would have thought that Corona will come, and then you see April, May, June, July, we are in August now. Time just flies by. We will talk about building the profile, but right now, anyways, in the CAT form, you cannot show your profile. They'll ask you to fill 10th marks, 12th marks, graduation marks. If you have work age, just the number of months and the industry. So not much scope is given to anyways boast about your profile. Focus on CAT paper. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you guys. Thank you. You guys make me proud, do me proud. We'll be having the Q&A very, very soon. When would you guys like to have the Q&A? Maybe on a weekday. A weekday would also do. Maybe a weekday. We'll think of it. We'll discuss in the Telegram groups. Those students who are not in Telegram groups called TVC Trial by Combat, please get in touch with us. Those numbers, we will make you join, because the format has changed. Everyone should try to play the game. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you.